This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. On Monday, the acting Secretary of State for the state of Texas, Republican David Whitley, resigned in shame after failing to be confirmed, following a failed attempt to purge nearly 100,000 suspected non-citizens from the voter rolls, which, of course, as it was intended, aggressively and erroneously targeted actual United States citizens who do indeed have the right to vote. In his role as acting Secretary of State, David Whitley, without evidence, asserted that of the 95,000 suspected non-citizens who were targeted, 58,000 had voted in at least one Texas election over the past 18 years. He then sent letters to those people demanding that they prove their citizenship within 30 days or have the right to vote that they have stripped away. The problem is that the massive numbers of these letters were being sent to American citizens who do have the right to vote and are under no obligation to show their papers and prove anything to any jackbooted representative of an oppressive government. So congrats, Texas, you've one fewer oppressor on the government payroll. The problem is, though, there are many more of these who remain, all across the nation. You see, this is nothing new. The right to vote has been under attack from the Republican Party for many years. And it should come as no surprise to anyone that states under Republican control have systematically targeted low-income and minority populations, targeted them for widespread disenfranchisement for fear that they might vote Democrat. In 2012, Florida Republicans produced a list of 180,000 suspected non-citizens registered to vote, which resulted in the removal of only 85 voters from the rolls. And in 2014, Republicans in North Carolina claimed that more than 10,000 suspected non-citizens were registered to vote. Not that they had actually voted, but that they were suspected to be registered to vote. And then the actual numbers were revealed, and shocker, everybody, they were comically wrong. In fact, state election officials found that number to not be 10,000, but to be only 11. They thought it was 10,000, and it's 11. This kind of undemocratic garbage has been happening all over the country where Republicans have control. You may remember recently in Georgia, when as Secretary of State for Georgia, and while he was running for governor, Brian Kemp held hostage about 53,000 voter registrations, nearly 70% of which were the voter registrations of Black Georgians. Not only that, during his tenure as Secretary of State, Kemp canceled over 1.4 million voter registrations since 2012, and nearly 670,000 while he was running for governor in 2017 alone. And an analysis of records obtained by the Associated Press reveals a sickening racial disparity in those 53,000 voters' registrations being held up. According to the U.S. Census, Georgia's population is approximately 32% Black, but the list of voter registrations held onto by Brian Kemp was nearly 70% Black. Republicans know they can't win in the marketplace of ideas. They know they cannot win fair and square by dint of their policies and their philosophies. So they effort to tip the scales in their favor by cheating and lying and disenfranchising as many people as they can who might just vote Democrat. According to Myrna Perez of New York University's Brennan Center for Justice, between 2014 and 2016, states removed almost 16 million voters from the rolls, and every state in the country can and should do more to protect voters from improper purges. Almost 4 million more names were purged from the rolls between 2014 and 2016 than between 2006 and 2008. This growth in the number of removed voters represented an increase of 33%, far outstripping growth in both total registered voters, 18%, and total population, 6%. And in addition to straight up removing voters from the rolls, Republicans have become quite adroit at other suppressive methods, like removing polling places altogether. According to a report from the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, between 2013 and 2016, 868 polling places were closed across a few Republican-controlled states. That's not even nationwide. And the inarguable reason for these attacks on the fundamentals of democracy is rooted in the largely white people's Republican Party and their fear of losing supremacy in a rapidly changing American landscape. You see, people of color are increasingly comprising a larger share of the United States population. Hispanics and Black Americans currently make up about 18 and 13% of the population, respectively, and counting all groups, whites make up only 62% or so of the population. And that number is not on the rise. The U.S. Census Bureau estimates that by 2044, no race or ethnicity, including whites, will represent a majority of the population. And that has Republicans freaked out enough to lie, cheat, and steal to try to keep their power. And these reasons should be enough to serve as a rallying cry for each and every one of you who care about the healthy functioning of our democratic process. For those of you who care about standing up for the oppressed and disenfranchised. It is only a matter of time before the Republican Party is a thing of the past, and we are on the cusp of that eventuality. These anti-democratic tactics are the death throes of a party that has long since served a once noble purpose. We are witnessing the final moments, but it is going to take every one of us to register to vote and to show up to the polls to cast our vote, because it is up to us to end their widespread lying and cheating and stealing.